Hey, it's Cornelius. So earlier on, I posted the video about these raid. What we're looking to do with these, I'm looking to do some more educational videos on why attacks go wrong. The plan is right now to only evaluate the co-leaders and their attacks. I want to make sure that everybody knows that these videos are intended to be criticism of what we're doing in war for educational purposes and not something that I'm not trying to get on somebody or say, hey, that was a stupid attack or anything like that. Just make sure that we know that what we're doing is to provide information to get better as a whole. So we're actually going to evaluate my attack. So I'm going to be criticizing myself here. So this was a 95% failed attack. It was on a Town Hall 12, not a max Town Hall 12, and it was a straight fail. It wasn't a time fail. But there was a lot that went into this that could have been corrected to make this a 3-star pretty easy, and some pretty significant errors occurred. So we'll take a look at the base. So one thing about this base, this is very similar to a lot of what we end up seeing in Clan War League, where we have these bases that are designed with these isolated infernos and isolated Eagle artilleries. Town Hall was a little more accessible in this setup, but you can see that we see these bases a lot. The last war that we were in, I'm actually currently in Phoenix Fire, which is part of the Buy Forever family of clans. I had a lot of these bases, and we struggled. And a lot of it's just people underestimating how difficult these bases can be. So I'll talk a little bit about how this starts, and we'll get into the raid. So the first thing I looked at when I looked at this base, I ran through the different attack strategies. And I think that's very important to understand for everybody, that if you're making an army prior to war, before you've even ever seen the base, your success rate is going to be significantly lower. So every time I look at a base, I go through, all the different attack strategies. So with this one being as spread as it was, isolated the way it was, I thought maybe P.E.K.K.A. Bobat. P.E.K.K.A. Bobat, though, isn't the best attack when you're dealing with single target infernos, because they will burn through your P.E.K.K.A.s. And the other problem, and it actually causes a problem, was how difficult this CC was to lure. It was incredibly difficult. There really wasn't a good way to do it. Not knowing this was a fresh hit, first hit, obviously. And then, I looked at some other things like, can I run dragons? I have level 6 dragons for Town Hall 12. I think max is 7. Probably could have pulled it off, but I wasn't comfortable. E-drags, I thought maybe about doing like a cloned Lalo into this core, because there was a ton of value here. But the fear being, if I run a clone Lalo, I would have pulled the CC. How much are you going to get? It's a long way to try to blimp into this core. You can hit a lot of traps, maybe not make it to the core, and then, your loons are getting pulled back to the outside where they're getting no value. I looked hybrid. Hybrids run a lot at 12, and I just didn't see a good way of running the pathing for the amount of troops that a hybrid requires. Someone else may see that differently. I didn't see it. So what I decided to do was, the first thing I noticed was this eagle here. You can see the eagle range isn't covered by any splash. So I was thinking, well, maybe I can run a bat bomb. Well, knowing that I can run a bat bomb there, I was looking, which side would I want to attack the eagle on? I apologize for the taps. I know they're super loud. And there towards the king side, if I actually attack there, even with the sweeper pushing back over top of this wizard tower is never a problem. This wizard tower is not a problem. So that kind of set that up. The other thing I looked at was, can I queen walk this far side and not run into the Inferno Tower? Fortunately, all these trash buildings will actually keep my queen away from the Inferno Tower. Now, I figured there was probably a Tesla farm down around this town hall. It's a pretty common appearance when you see a town hall like that. And I was correct. That's where the Tesla farm was at. And once I did that, I was going to use the siege barracks coming down from this cannon and entering into this compartment. Still left the issue of I can't get the CC out. I was hoping to drop a hog and get it to aggro to target this so I could pull it. You'll see that that doesn't happen. And then I brought the king down to funnel this section, knowing that I could keep him away from this single target for the most part. And then I was going to run miners. Now, there was going to be a pretty decent funnel formed, and I was hoping to send the miners directly into this and then straight through the core to this section. That was the plan. I made a couple of very significant errors in the raid that prevented that. So let's watch this. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and dropped the bats. I didn't want to activate the eagle and do it afterwards. It's about 40 spaces, troop space, to activate or to get these spells in. The eagle doesn't activate until 180 troop space. I knew that the air defense would be tanked and would be one of the next places it went, so I could drop this E-drag to come down this side. This all went to plan perfectly. Now I used the pathing here to walk a P.E.K.K.A down, Ice Golem, Balloon, waited for the Ice Golem to go down before my healers went in. Now here's an error. I had too many troops. That was the biggest thing. Like, I was scrolling back and forth. I actually do not get all of my healers on the queen. Now the rest of this, it's not max 12, but it wouldn't have mattered. This part all goes to plan. I'll zoom out here a little bit. Now, the biggest thing that messed this attack up was this Tesla. I had originally planned to send my miners in about where this Tesla popped in order to directly go straight into this Inferno. But you'll see what happens because I didn't eliminate that. Put a giant down to protect the siege barracks. P.E.K.K.A comes out, funnels established. IT, queen staying out of the range like I thought she would. Now you can see I'm still got a healer in the bag. I've got a hog. I've got a ice golem. See, this hog comes in. He does not go for the expo. He stays down. King goes in. Now, you can see there. So what happens here is because my miners did not go far enough south. If they had been placed down here somewhere, they would have pathed into the single target Inferno. Because I put them too far up and didn't eliminate this Tesla, which I had plenty of trips to do, all of my miners went here. Well, the problem is my miners are going to go here, 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 leaving the single target, which is going to cause further issues. And the other thing you can see is that this was never lured. Now, down at the bottom, what I didn't talk about, because I was missing a healer that's now coming in late because I realized it, I also did not rage up my queen when she was targeted by about 3 or 4 defenses there. Could have saved her ability. That was my fault. So you can see the miners come in. The Warden Bahan would have been fine, except the miners go underground, which means my Warden gets targeted. Now, I had a freeze spell here. I could have froze the Inferno. I didn't. I did, but I was late, which means my Warden got cooked for no reason. Now, the CC is down here, taking out all my troops. Queen goes down. Wizards are going to go down. This baby dragon ends up wrecking. At this point, there was still a very slim chance. I missed a heal spell. All this was reaction. My last hope was to get just enough miners in through that to that single target and then bring these balloons in to take out the Inferno Tower. Of course, that's not going to happen. Mainly because the CC is still up, battering my troops. And that's where it ends. Decent plan, poor execution. And really, it was the miner drop. Had the miners went through the single target and I had raged my queen, it would have been a 3-star.